Thank you so much for joining us on China Daily's Big Talk. Welcome to China again.
Thank you very much.
So you are here to personally preside over this business forum between China and Lithuania next Monday. So what's your expectations for this forum?
It's very, very big. We've been working as an investment group that's based in the Baltic region and CEE with Chinese companies, with Chinese investors a long time. And this is the first time in a long time that the Lithuanian Prime Minister is visiting the country, that he is representing Europe, that he is representing Lithuania here, and it'll be a good business forum that introduces the opportunities that we have in the country for Chinese companies to come to Europe. Because the reality is Lithuania is a very, very small place. It's not a market, but it's a business location. It's a business location to work in Europe. It's part of the European Union with all the advantages. It's flexible, it's dynamic, and Chinese businesses are very, very welcome there.
I see. Actually, based on my personal experience, I went to Lithuania for the very first time back in 2011. That was only 4 years ago. So during that time, we still need to get a visa from the embassy. And guess what? Starting next year, next month, the Lithuanian embassy in China is going to open up their visa.
It's open already.
It's open already. See, I'm even behind the news. See, I mean, there are definitely ongoing connections building up day by day between China and Lithuania. So I assume you have a Chinese partner here. So what exactly happening between you and your Chinese partner, and what kind of good news you can tell us so far, and what kind of bad news or things do you think you can improve in terms of doing business with the Chinese market?
We've partnered with a very experienced company, BG Link, that has extensive experience in working both with the private and the public sector here in China. With them, we are working on bringing their clients and the companies I deal with to Europe. We have a very good case. The first Chinese company has opened an office in Lithuania, hiring local staff, and essentially they're into resources. They are mining brains. Because there's no oil, there's no coal in that region, but we have very, very talented people, highly educated, that come at pretty attractive rates and work very hard. So they've been hiring some of the talent to be based in Lithuania, work on their Chinese apps, and are very, very happy with their results so far.
Interesting. China will be kickstarting the big 13th five-year plan, announced actually shortly last month. So have you heard about this project? Have you heard about this plan? And
I'm certainly aware of it, and I've been following the press coverage.
Yeah.
I think it's great news because, I mean, we see two trends. We see further professionalization of Chinese industries with increasing private involvement in the SOE sectors. We see definitely the attempt to make SOEs more competitive, also to make them global more intensively, to bring Chinese resources, Chinese capacities globally. And economically, I think it's a very, very important step in the direction. We now have the aim that by the end of this five-year plan, by 2020, the Chinese currency, the yuan, is fully convertible internationally. No more currency restrictions, which I think makes international business so much easier. Because so far, whoever is dealing globally, whoever wants to invest in assets, set up teams, develop the network, they always have the worry about how to finance it. And they spend a considerable amount of time and resources on figuring out how to finance their global operations. And this is not efficient. And I look forward to actually dealing without the problem.
I see. Earlier you mentioned your company specifically deals in part of your job is to deal with the energy sector, right? And another important section going on in China, it's called the International Industrial Cooperation. So how do you see this cooperation, possibly could happen between China and Lithuanian side?
we can help Chinese companies to enter the European market. Because everybody, of course, wants to work in Europe and the UK, but these are very, very tough markets to get in. They're very, very restricted, practically, at the end of the day. And for a Chinese company, especially a smaller one, they may not be the easiest places to start. Now, that's where Eastern Europe, that's where the Baltic region, that's where Lithuania comes in. Through a local team that is multilingual, multicultural, and very open, it's possible to set up European operations for marketing, distribution, logistics, and so on. In our region, a logistics center costs maybe 5 to 10% of what you practically would have to pay for the same capacity in Germany. However, the whole region is now fully accessible by rail. So to get any cargo from Lithuania to, say, Hamburg, or from somewhere around Frankfurt to Hamburg, will be actually more advantage and will take less time.
Right now in China, we have a very heated discussion about the Silk and the Belt Economy Road Initiative. So have you heard about this? And,
Certainly,
and what's your interpretation regarding this new policy?
We see big interest in our harbor. Lithuania has the only ice-free port in the Baltic Sea, which provides very good access from China via the sea to the whole CEE region, Russia, and even Scandinavia. We have a number of large Chinese projects in Belarus, including a large Chinese industrial park, Great Stone, and the country is landlocked. So they need to be accessed, and companies are working hard to develop that access through Lithuania, through the harbor, and through the railroad connections. And I believe we have several agreements signed with this regard next Monday at the forum. Furthermore, there is now a rail connection from China to Europe, which goes also straight to Lithuania, which essentially cuts the time for deliveries by some 60–70%. We continue to have the issue of insufficient amount of return cargo, and that we're also now Lithuania is very much working to make their products available for the growing middle class in China. On this very day, today, the Lithuanian agriculture minister is signing a protocol allowing the import into China of Lithuanian dairy products. Meat and sausages, of course, are next. And I think that's an opportunity both for Chinese and Lithuanian logistic company to develop the trade, and also, of course, to the Chinese consumer to consume more European quality food.
How do you see Lithuania could actually develop a realistic market for the rich Chinese, I'm talking about the upper middle class, maybe to invest overseas? Is there any policies behind this? Or do you see the possible market?
The market is wide open, and what we see currently is that there's a certain disaffection in China with speculation, especially in equities. When it comes to value and valuations, very often in emerging markets, people wake up one day to find out that the investments they've made and the valuations they believed in no longer are true. We've seen that this year with changes in the equity markets and the share prices. What we believe is a very good opportunity in Europe is to invest in fixed assets with stable returns. Now, these returns may not be sound as promising as those that we talked about in China maybe a year ago or two, but they essentially are very, very stable. And we are talking here about both real estate, but also corporate assets. For example, one topic we are working on is setting up an angel fund for IT and tech companies in Eastern Europe. We have a big trend currently in the region, utilizing the talent we have in the IT startup scene. And I do believe there's an opportunity for an angel and startup fund with Chinese investors who then can actually pick the best ideas and bring them over and realize them to China to make a good company great.
See. So is there anything more you want to emphasize here?
I do think it's a great opportunity. What I want to emphasize, people shouldn't look at Lithuania as a market. With its 3 million inhabitants, even if you add the other Baltic states, you have some 6–7 million people. They are consumers, but they're certainly not versus a separate strategy. But what I want to emphasize is the benefit that the region brings as a business location to open the entire European market. Just our core market, which is the Baltic Rim of northeastern Europe, has more than 150 million inhabitants, which is Scandinavia, Poland, Baltics, and Germany. And I think that's a good market for a Chinese company to be active in.
I see. Well, we wish you will have a very fruitful forum, a meeting next Monday, and enjoy your stay here in China.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us today.